you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, will you please note the roll?
Commissioner Kish is present. Commissioner Maloney is present. Commissioner Steiner is present. Commissioner Clymer is present. Chairman Bray is present. Vice Chairman Barnes is absent. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Can I get a motion to excuse Vice Chairman Barnes from this evening's meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we excuse Mr. Barnes from today's meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to excuse Vice Chairman Barnes from this evening's meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. You will notice in the agenda is the minutes from February 13th, 2019. Can I get a motion for the approval of minutes, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the minutes from the February 2019 meeting.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Maloney to approve the minutes from February 13th, 2019. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5 is public comments. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any non-agenda items. I don't think I have any speaker cards on this, but any non-agenda items from the public? All right. Item number 6 is disclosure of ex parte communication. This is an opportunity for commissioners to disclose any ex parte communication about any agenda items of tonight. Commissioners?
No.
None? Thank you. Agenda item number 7 is old business. There is no old business pending this evening. We'll move into new business. Agenda item 8.1, election of chairman and vice chairman for the 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission. With that, I will open the floor and take nominations for the chair and vice chair. You won't offend me if you kick me out.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Patrick Bray for chairman. I would also like to nominate for vice chairman Randy Barnes.
I second.
Nominations for chairman are Patrick Bray, vice chairman are Commissioner Randy Barnes, seconded by Commissioner Maloney. Are there any further nominations? Seeing none, nominations are closed. The official slate is your 2019 chairman is Patrick Bray. Your vice chairman is Randy Barnes. He should have showed up to the meeting.
Chairman, we do need to make a formal motion to move to appoint you and Randy as chair and vice chair, and
Yes,
then a
ma'am.
vote.
So we've closed the nominations. Now we can have a motion to vote on that slate. Correct? So I need a motion for that slate, please.
Mr. Chairman, I so move that we now take a vote on the nominations.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Kish to vote on the slate at hand. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Agenda item 8.2, I will open the public hearing, and this is 18-200-00013, rezone of Westboro North property from agriculture urban to light industrial, and Karen is presenting this evening. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. If it is okay with the Commission, because these two items are very much related, I'd like to do one presentation for both items, and then in the end, we'll need to have a vote on each one of them.
I think that is most appropriate. Thank you.
Do we need to open up both public hearings, or this one covers them both?
Let's do the presentation, if we can, presentation on both, and then two public hearings.
Okay. Thank you. This is West Bullard PAD Overlay South. It's 103 acres at the northwest corner of Bullard and Yuma. It is owned by KCI Goodyear South, and the proposal is to rezone the property from I-1 and C2 to I-1 with a PAD overlay. The C2 portion of it is approximately 20 acres in this corner, and the remainder is already I-1. This is West Bullard PAD North, and it is 56 acres owned by Cardinal Capital, and the proposal is to rezone that from AU to I-1 with the PAD overlay. And you can see this property right here is property that was rezoned for an APS substation a couple of months ago. And you can see it's right there. So we have a common property line right there. So that's PAD North, overlay North. And then you will probably recall this property a couple of months ago, you recommended approval of it, Goodyear Airport Commons, and that was approved with 67 acres of I-1 light industrial. So we're going to take this piece of property, the industrial portion of it, the overlay North and the overlay South, and they're all going to be combined into this. So the I-1 with the PAD overlay is to develop Compass Data Center. And there will be, at this point, 8 227,000 square foot data center buildings. And that's the orange that you see there. They will be 30 feet high. And there will be exterior equipment yards on both sides of those buildings. And that's the gray you see on either side of the orange. This site right here is the APS substation I just mentioned. And then because of all the power that is needed for these facilities, there will be a second 69 kV substation that Compass themselves will own. And then we anticipate that there will be a 230 kV substation here, also to be owned by Compass. This is elevation drawings that were provided to us. There is a site plan currently going through the process for the Compass Data Center. This rust-colored here is their front office part of their operations. And on all these buildings, it's the shorter part. Then this, to the rear of that, is the longer part of what you saw on that exhibit, and that's the actual data hall where all the computer equipment is located. And then here you can see the outdoor equipment in those yards that were shown on the site plan. The PAD overlay that's being proposed provides for a maximum height of 50 feet, which is the standard in I-1, but then it also allows for an increase to 60, provided that 60-foot high building would be at least 100 feet from the west property line. Any of the substations have to be 500 feet from the residential zoning district or property line to the west, which is the Centera single-family neighborhood. It will also allow for chain link fencing between the buildings, provided it's not visible from Bullard or from Yuma. It will allow for retention basins along the street frontages, provided that also is screened from Bullard or Yuma. It'll be screened with landscaping. It will also include the implementation of the Bullard Wash path improvements, and it will provide for screening of the outdoor equipment and dock doors from the residential property, the Centerra neighborhood. And this exhibit is the Bullard Wash path improvement. This is what we looked at with the Goodyear Airport Commons property further to the north. Same sort of improvement will occur here. It's a 10 to 12-foot compacted, decomposed granite path with 10-foot landscape buffers on either side of it. And this is the screening exhibit that is referred to in the zoning ordinance. Some of the stipulations specifically call out this screening exhibit. This is a home within Centerra. This is the perimeter wall of their development. Then this is the channelized Bullard Wash. And this right here is the path improvements that you see up above. It's going to occur here. Then there will be retention. Then there will be like a loop road system that goes around the buildings. This is the outdoor equipment yard. And then here's the data hall. So between the wall that's the perimeter wall for Centerra and the wall or fencing around the equipment yard, it's about 500 to 600 feet. They will also be implementing the Bullard Avenue corridor design treatments that you've seen previously on the Goodyear Airport Commons. This will occur from Van Buren on the north. It goes all the way down to the half-mile mark and picks up there and continues on down all the way to Yuma. So this will be developed all along the Bullard Avenue frontage of the Compass data centers. Staff is recommending approval subject to the stipulations in the two draft ordinances, 2019-1428 and 2019-1429. I do have, though, one amendment to make. Lainey, could I use Elmo, please? And we have copies of these additional stipulations for you. In each ordinance, there was one stipulation that just said air-cooled chillers would not be allowed on the property. We've done some research and talking to some other jurisdictions and have found that air-cooled chillers tend to create a noise pitch that can be irritating. So we're trying to consider the residents in Centerra and make sure that we do our best not to have that occur here. And we also want to deal with just potential noise volume. So we are recommending that one stip that said no air-cooled chillers be replaced with these two stipulations. One dealing with the decibel level and the other one dealing with the specifics of the air-cooled chillers. And we're going to get some additional information sorry, we didn't have it tonight, but we're going to get some cut sheets on those types of units that have been known to create that high pitch. And we'll attach all that to the ordinance itself when we add these two stipulations. And with Lainey, I'll go back to my presentation. And with that, we are asking that the commission recommend approval subject to the stipulations as modified. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And the applicant's representative is also here.
Thank you, Karen. Is there any questions for Karen at this time? Karen, just to make this clear, the stipulations are on this current 8.2, correct?
It is on both of them.
It is on both of them.
Yes, it was the last stipulation on both ordinances, and we'd like to replace that last one on both ordinances with the two new ones.
Just so that we're clear before we bring up the applicant, can we go back to the map and you can point to us the PAD of 8.2 and then what we're voting on for 8.3?
Okay. Which one was first? The north one was first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're just so everybody's clear, 8.2 is that subject property there.
Correct.
That was already zoned.
It was zoned AU, so it will be rezoned to I-1 with the PAD overlay.
Thank you. Any questions for Karen? One last one. Can you just give me an example of what we're talking about when it says we shall not exceed a 65 dB as measured? Like what are we talking about there?
That is a decibel level that has been referenced by ADOT in noise studies that have had to have been prepared for properties adjacent to the interstate. So it's,
So we could equivalent, it can't be, couldn't be higher than if you were living right next to the interstate, basically. Is that correct?
correct, that's that same level.
Perfect. Thank you, Karen.
Yep.
I do have one question, Karen. The property that is north, there's going to be housing in there, and there's going to be a hotel in there. Is there going to be a buffer area between the data center and the those developments, that housing development up there?
Excuse me, this is the industrial property that's going to be incorporated into the data center.
Right.
Then there will be an access road that goes through here in order to provide access to multifamily
Okay.
and access to the commercial. There'll be landscaping on either side of that access road. There are buffer requirements on those properties themselves around their perimeter. And there's the storage or the outdoor equipment will be here, and there will be landscaping around the perimeter of that. So each component has some landscaping of their own that will serve to buffer. Plus there's the screen wall or screen fencing that goes around the equipment storage areas that will help to break some of the sound as well.
Okay. Thank you.
There was also in there, I was reading about the power lines that would be coming in. Like, they seem very tall. I'm assuming that was pretty standard, 140 feet or something.
Yeah,
Run along Bullard to bring the power to those substations.
that is correct. There are 69 kV lines along Van Buren now,
Right.
and those lines will then be extended to come down the west side of Bullard to connect to that new APS substation, and then the substations themselves will be connected. But yes, there will be new poles that will come down Bullard Avenue.
Any other questions for Karen at the time?
Nope.
All right. You said the applicant is here?
Yes.
Does the applicant wish to address the commission? Your name for the record and your firm and who you're representing,
Okay.
please.
Chairman, members of the commission, Cameron Carter with the Rose Law Group on behalf of the applicant. I'm here, I think the presentation that has been made has been wonderful and substantially, showcase the project and talk about the information. I'm happy to answer questions if you have specific questions for me at this time.
Any questions for the applicant?
I don't know what a data center is going to be using. Where is this data? Just off the wall? What are you going to use it for?
Chairman, members of the commission, the data center will have multiple clients that store their data on the equipment that's in the in these facilities. I think it's the applicant's proprietary information as to who those clients
Right, I
are.
understand, okay, but it could be, all over the world, people store data here for whatever reason.
I would invite the applicant to come forward and answer that. I don't want to tread on
Well,
to.
and you don't have to
too
get
much,
too detailed, I just was curious.
Thank you very much, Mr. Commissioner and our chairman and the commissioners. I'm Chris Curtis, founder of Compass Data Centers and head of development. So what this is going to be is really, if you, in America today, you look at your cell phones and you expect movies to download in them. There's business applications and all those things, the advent of the cloud that you've heard of. That's really what this is. So it's a building that is full of a bunch of computer servers, which is great for the tax base, and it needs a lot of cooling that doesn't go down. It needs power that is diverse, that doesn't, if one power goes out, the other power is still on, and the fiber that also can't go down. And that's really, and it's a robust building that doesn't fall down. And that's essentially what a data center is. Now, it's obviously more complex than that. We are at the cutting edge of the technology. This is very long-lasting technology. The customers are there. It's very sticky. They have it's difficult for them to move. It's very costly for them to move because of all the infrastructure it takes to, for example, the substations and the fiber to provide these buildings. So this should be a very nice, long-lived asset that supports the future of America, where we're going today. It's a future-proofed type of investment here in Goodyear, and we're very excited to be here.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Nope.
Thank you very much.
I do have one question. Obviously, the stipulations here, they say it shall not exceed the 65 dB. What level of decibel do we expect coming out of this facility?
So, Chairman.
And is it constant?
Chairman, members of the commission, what level we expect will depend on the actual equipment used for the cooling of the data center buildings. Now, and as Karen had outlined and expressed, there was a concern over a specific unit and the frequency level or the pitch level of noise that was producing at another site in another jurisdiction. And so the applicant has agreed to a stipulation to not use that particular type of equipment. That equipment hasn't been designed yet, or we don't know exactly which equipment will be used. But we know that it will be less than 65 at the residential property line. And, from a noise standpoint, my understanding that, you asked, I think before, what 65 decibels sounds like. 65 decibels is louder than regular vehicular traffic, a little bit louder. Conversations are 50 to 60. And so, traffic that you would hear, 50 feet away or so, a car driving down the street. I don't know the exact noise level of what will be produced here, but it will be less than that 65 decibels and certainly compliant with your noise ordinance that you have here in the city.
The stipulation says the residential property line, but you're saying that you believe that it'll be below 65 dB at your property line?
At the residential property line. So when the neighboring residential hears it, it will be less than 65.
And do you have any idea of what other data centers of this size create sound-wise?
I don't. There's all different, certainly in other jurisdictions where data centers, they comply with other jurisdictions' noise ordinances. 65 is one, as I've done different projects around the state in different jurisdictions. That's certainly a level that I think is generally acceptable for outdoor ambient noise. And so depending on the particular technologies used to cool the facilities, those noise levels vary depending on the project.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? No. All right.
Thank you.
I do have one speaker's card. We'll go into that, and if there's anybody else that would like to speak, but there's 3 minutes on this, and then we'll cut you off at that. So, Kathy Rodman. And just your name for the record is fine, and then you can go right into your testimony, and Katie will time the 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm Kathy Rodman. I live in Centera on Buchanan Street, so you can see that pretty much touches this development. I was delighted when I saw the park being developed on the other side of Centera, an immense improvement. I don't consider this an improvement at all. We have a lovely residential area. It's being improved with the park. There are other residential areas that are adjacent to the park. And what we're facing now is a degrading of our property because of a server farm that will be running 24 hours a day with that decibel level. It is not an improvement, and it can be located somewhere else that is much more commercial. But right now, you're looking at putting it next to all of those families where all of those people are raising their children, and all of those people are hoping to live and enjoy their property. But instead, it's being downgraded. So I'd like you to please reconsider and recognize that this can be located somewhere else. It can be located somewhere else in Goodyear that is much more industrial and is not knocking up against all of those homes. So please reconsider.
Thank you, Ms. Rodman. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak at this time or address the commission? All right. Seeing none, I will take a motion on agenda item 8.2. Oh, I gotta close the public hearing. Closed. I skip 1 month and I get rusty. Here we go. Motion on 8.2, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number 18-200-00013.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve 18-200-00013, the rezone of West Bullard North property from ag urban to light industrial park.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question? Excuse me, point of order. Does that include the amended stipulations that Karen had
Man,
presented?
you guys are good and sticklers.
With amended stipulations by,
So just for clarification, deleting the stipulation that's in the current documents in front of you and posted in the agenda currently, which prohibited air-cooled chillers, and replacing it with the two that Karen had presented.
let me try again.
You agree?
Let me try it again. All right.
Go for it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to approve item number 18-200-00013 with the new stipulations placed, eliminating the old stipulation in the original text.
Second.
Perfect. It has been moved by Commissioner Kish, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve that with the new stipulations. Is there any discussion?
Did I read in there were public meetings for this prior, and many people showed up? Is that right?
I believe that's correct. Karen, did you attend the public meetings?
I did. We had a neighborhood meeting. Approximately 15 residents of Centera signed in. They had presentations on what was being proposed by the data center, the improvements to the wash, and there were also members of the APS staff there as well talking about the substation. And it seemed to the wash improvements were very favorable to the residents, and they also were pleased that it did not seem that there were going to be big warehouses adjacent to their property, as could have been allowed in I-1.
But yeah, I did take a drive out there and just to look and see what Bullard Wash did really look like. It doesn't look very good right now, but with the improvements, I think it'll look much better.
And we're only at the PAD stage, so this will come before us one more time. Is that correct or no? This is it. Okay. Any other discussion?
Nope.
All right. Thank you, Karen. And with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving into agenda item 8.3, I'll open the public hearing, and this is the rezone of the West Bullard South property from light industrial to general commercial back to light industrial with the PAD overlay. Karen has already presented on this. It is the public hearing portion of it, so is there any comments from the public regarding agenda item 8.3? Seeing none. I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 18-200-00015 with the stipulations as per the previous.
I get it. Is that good enough for the staff?
As per the previous motion, perhaps?
For the previous motion.
I second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Steiner, seconded by Commissioner Clymer, to approve 18-200-00015 rezone of West Bullard South property. Is there any discussion?
No.
Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Ma'am, just to let you know, we're simply an advisory committee, so this does go in front of the city council, and they actually have the final say. So, and do you know roughly what? March 25th. So, just so that you know. Agenda item 8.4, I will open the public hearing for 19-300-0001. This is a use permit for Brush Fire Tacos and Dutch Brothers Coffee.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. I'm presenting for Alex. And I believe there's a presentation. There we go. So you might remember that in June of 2017, a use permit was approved by City Council, so it would have been to the Planning and Zoning Commission shortly before then, for Dutch Brothers and Brush Fire Tacos to operate at on Estrella Parkway, north of Van Buren Street, just south of the McDonald's that was existing. Dutch Brothers was built and opened in 2018, and Brush Fire, it has site plan approval, but it hasn't started development. Their request is to add one drive-through lane to each restaurants, which requires them to amend the use permit, and amending the use permit is basically the same process as the original use permit process. So this exhibit is the conceptual site plan that was approved with the original use permit. So you can see that there's one drive-through lane that was planned for Brush Fire Tacos, and then Dutch Brothers included 2 drive-through lanes. The proposal is to, as you can see, is to add one more drive-through lane on the inside here, and then another, this gray highlighted one is the additional drive-through lane. We did not hold a neighborhood meeting because there are no residents within the 500 feet notice area. We did send out notice for the citizen review and the public hearings, and we haven't received any comments on the proposal. The applicant has demonstrated the need for the use permit. The proposal is in conformance with all city codes and ordinances, and therefore staff recommends approving the use permit subject to the stipulations that were included in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Katie at this time?
Can you go back to the before and after?
Yep.
So what are they losing when they add the?
There is one parking space on the Dutch Brothers site that they're losing.
Okay.
Thank you. I should have pointed that
No,
out
that's
to you.
all right. I just
They
was trying to
still
figure
meet parking requirements, and there's a cross-access parking in that whole shopping center. So they do meet all parking requirements. So flipping, it's a little hard to tell here, but there's one parking space net that gets lost. On this area, they had kind of, you can see, they had kind of actually planned ahead of time. They were thinking they might need it, and they decided to just go ahead and do it now with the Dutch Brothers.
And it
use
looks like
permit.
they're just taking away some shrubbery? for
Yeah,
the
they
brush
are
fire?
reducing some of the landscaping.
Okay.
But again, they are still meeting city requirements, even with the reduction.
Because it's inside I guess, that complex area, I mean, our traffic folks don't really look at this, do they?
They do submit a traffic study.
They do?
Yeah, and so after this use permit, they will go through site plan review. And I'm sorry, since this isn't my case, it's possible that that has been already submitted and we're already reviewing it. But yes, they do a update to their traffic study.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm really glad these businesses are here and they're doing very, very well to the point
Yes.
that the traffic is kind of a pain right in that area. So I'm glad to see that they're exercising other options. Hopefully that works. Is there any other questions for Katie?
No, just they're not adding any more openings here to make orders. They're just trying to get the traffic so it doesn't back up in one lane and make it into 2 lanes and the other Dutch Brothers into 3 lanes. So
Yes, they're basically adding to the queuing. There may be additional, Dutch Brothers, the way they work, they have people out there taking orders, so they may have an additional person.
I don't know what it is about Dutch Brothers. I've got to stop there because the one nearby me is just jammed all the time and I don't see it yet, but maybe once I taste, I will be smitten.
Katie, is this going in on an existing parking lot? Go back to your first slide, please.
I can't remember.
The Dutch Brothers is there today.
So yeah, the brush fire is going where this
Okay,
existing
that's an
parking
existing
lot is.
parking lot, so
Yep.
we're gonna have to tear that out, correct?
Yes.
Then the entry and exit way out of there would be going between the 2 McDonald's and the brush fire, and then coming around from the rear?
Yeah, there's a traffic signal
Right,
between the McDonald's and where the brush fire will be.
okay.
That's why I made my comment on traffic. If you've ever been there, the Dutch Brothers is already open. There's a lot of traffic sometimes.
Yet it doesn't affect Ace Hardware at all. I can go in and out of Ace
you can
pretty
get to Ace
easily.
pretty easy, yeah. So, any other questions for Katie? I take it the applicant is here. Would you wish to address the council? You don't have to.
Well, I showed up, so I'm sorry I was a little late due to traffic. I'm Benny Munoz. I'm with Phoenix Design. We're the architect assisting brush fire with this use permit. And Bill Cantieri with the Piazza Restaurant Company. We just want to make sure that you guys understand that by adding these additional lanes, we are trying to alleviate the congestion that Dutch Brothers does produce, and we foresee Brush Fire being a really good restaurant, considering the location up in Peoria that is next to a Dutch Brothers. They're both pretty congested, and there's no room to add extra lanes on that site in Peoria, but we're trying to take the initiative here and add additional lanes to alleviate the congestion and open up the drive for people to be able to come in and come out.
Sounds good. Do you have a question, Commissioner Kish?
I've not heard of brush fire. Can you tell me the nature of the restaurant? Is it a sit down? Is it a
This one will be a sit down.
Okay.
The first one was in Peoria, was made out of pods, and it's a drive through, just
Okay.
like a Dutch Brothers is, with an outdoor seating area. However, they do have a lot of people that do come and want to sit down and eat, and they have a small patio area, so they decided to actually build a customer seating area. There's going to be an outdoor, I think, patio seating area in this as well. It is a very good restaurant if you've ever been or can swing by. It's up on Peoria.
And there'll be enough parking as a result of adding another, if you're tearing out the parking that's existing there to put in the brush fire and then adding more, will there be enough parking, or how many parking spaces do you anticipate using or needing?
Where's your?
How do I use this?
Actually, Katie, yeah, there you go.
There
So
we
if
go.
you look at it now,
Oh, I see it
That
now.
dirt spot has already been developed.
Yeah,
Right.
Sorry.
And so then we'll still have the parking in between
okay,
and the parking around the building.
that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, that aerial photo is a little old. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Appreciate you for coming out to Goodyear.
Oh, no.
Thank you very much.
And I think we all welcome another restaurant. Is there any speakers cards, any comments from the public? Steve? No? Good. All right. With that, I'll close the public hearing, and I will take a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve number 19-300 -00001.
Second?
It's been moved by Commissioner Maloney, seconded by Commissioner Kish to approve 19-300-00001. This is a use permit for Brush Fire Taco and Dutch Brothers Coffee. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item 8.5, this is the comprehensive sign package amendment for the Palm Valley campus, and Steve is going to present on this one.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, good evening. I have a sign package amendment before you this evening. It is for this area of Palm Valley, the Palm Valley Medical Campus, all this area here, the hospital and a new Adelante building in this location right here. To the east, we have the JCPenney Lowe's building. To the south, we have the retention basins, the future city park. To the west is the existing campus. To the north, we have a mix of commercial, McDowell Road, and then Palm Valley residential. All this area is Palm Valley. The master plan for the campus here was approved in 1997, and that was for this portion right here. In 2005, the campus expanded east. It took in this piece right here, and right here is where we have the new Adelante building. So all of this now is the Palm Valley Medical Campus. In 2006, we had a comprehensive sign package approved for the campus. And that package sets the allowances for signage for the campus, where they can locate and how big they can be, the types of signage that are allowed. Subsequently, 2013, the sign package was amended. That was to put the big hospital icon on the hospital building. Tonight's request is to amend the comprehensive sign package for this building that's occupied by Adelante. Few pieces to this request. The first one, they would like they have two signs, two wall signs proposed. I should start there. One here on the west elevation, one here on the south elevation. This is a plan showing the building. Cornerstone Boulevard here wraps around. So first part of the request, they'd like a larger sign here on the south elevation. And basically that would go from an allowance of about 56 square feet to about 185 square feet. Next part of the request applies to both signs, and what they would like to go to a taller sign. Right now the sign heights, the copy is limited to about 2.5 feet. They'd like to go to almost 6 feet for that signage. And I'll show you here, the height here. In the sign package, it's about 2.5 feet. They'd like to go to about 6 with a double row of signage. And the next thing I'd like to amend is the sign package cap signage for a building at 200 square feet. Given the size of both signs, they're a little over 371 square feet. So the request is to allow an aggregate sign area of 372 square feet. Those are the three requests. There's no other requests to amend the sign package. And again, these deviations would only apply to the Adelante building. No other user none of these standards would apply to any other user. As outlined in the staff report, we do find the request meets the criteria that we use in evaluation of sign packages. We find the signs are no larger than necessary. They're located to allow sufficient visibility. They're designed to complement the design of the building, and no surrounding land uses will be adversely affected by this. And specifically, we looked at residential. We had residential development that was located far to the north across McDowell, so we didn't have to worry about glare or light trespass from any lighted signs. With that, we are recommending approval subject to the stipulations in the staff report. With that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my presentation. Staff and the applicant are here for any questions.
Perfect. Any questions for Steve?
I actually have a question.
Commissioner Maloney?
When was this approved, the design in the building? Do you know?
Mr. Chairman, Kish members, I think at least a couple of years ago, maybe 2016-ish.
It's a great design. Just saying.
It's different.
It's really nice. I drove by there the other day. I really like it. It's really nice. That's it.
Commissioner Steiner?
Steve, could you go back to your first slide, please? No, go back to the second one.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, just so I have an idea of what is where, to the left-hand side of that picture is the hospital.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the I-10 is then at the bottom of the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Is all that area that is, can you go to the next screen? Nope, the one before that. Yes. Now, is all that other area there going to be all medical buildings and in here? Yes.
Yes, it's a future phase planned
Okay.
for the rest of the property.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't have the staff report right in front of me at the moment, but I know you have the stipulations listed in that, and then when you talk about how you got to your decision of why you believe this is okay, which I think, in my opinion, you're on the right track, is that put into the record? As far as, you know, we look at this and it can go outside of our sign stipulations within Goodyear. I mean, I know the stipulations do, but the thought process by how we got to this is okay, is that also in the record? Because here's my concern is that somewhere down the line, it's, you know, this commission will be faced, or even city council, that says, well, you let them do it there. And there's nothing that says, well, we got to that reason because we looked at where it was at. It didn't affect, you know, anybody in the housing. It was facing I-10. It was appropriate for, you know, outlining why we got to that deal, because I think it just helps us in the future as, you know, so that we don't get it used against us later on.
Mr. Chairman, I hope this answers the question. All the criteria that are listed in the zoning ordinance, and I repeated those criteria here, the staff report does contain an analysis of why it met those 4 criteria. So we do have a written record of staff's evaluation of this and then how it came up with the recommendation. So we do have a written record of that.
Good, thank you. Any other questions for Steve? The applicant's here. Do you wish to address the commission? Okay. Are you sure? All right. This is not a public hearing, so unless there's any other questions, I will entertain a motion for 8.5, agenda item 8.5.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 19-630-00001.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Clymer, seconded by Commissioner Steiner to approve 19-630-0001, the comprehensive sign package. Is there any discussion? Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Agenda item number 9, staff communication.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commission. thanks for giving us this opportunity to just kind of recap a little bit of a couple of activities for you. As we usually do, just to brief you on the outcome of the cases that you all recommended to council, the preliminary plat for Australia Parcel 11F1, which is located in the Lucero community, went to the city council for consideration at the end of February and was approved. That, if you remember, that if you recall, that parcel was about 18 acres and created 58 lots. So that's moving forward. Just as a heads up, we are working with, we have a very exciting opportunity coming up that Katie and I are both working on for the benefit of the commission regarding training. And we're working in collaboration with some other partners to include the ULI, Urban Land Institute, and the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. So we're working to put some training together. No date set yet. No agenda and topics set yet. We're just building this relationship, but we expect to have more information for you hopefully at the next meeting, just so we can get it calendared and begin working on the agenda, because we want it to obviously be useful and informative for you all. And so we're really excited about that partnership opportunity. The last thing is, I think you all should have received an email from Angela Tolliver regarding the volunteer appreciation event on March 20th. So if I got a couple of heads shaking no. I'll make sure that you get the information. We'll send it out to you again. But that is on March 20th. So if you would like, you're cordially invited to attend. It's a citywide celebration of the volunteers like yourselves and citizens that help make us the great city that we are. So thank you for your time and effort and attention tonight, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
I just thought I would also add, in case you're curious, we are still recruiting for our empty planning commission seat. We have received several applications, so we're working with the clerk's office to set the meeting with the subcommittee who appoints members to boards and commissions. So we're hopeful we'll have someone for next month. But
did they do a second round?
We went into a second round. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, the next meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting will be held on April 10th, 2019 at 6 p.m. at the Goodyear Municipal Court and Council Chambers. With that, we are adjourned.